T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Today on Truth Today, we're going to be discussing, is the Iran war back on again, off again? When will we learn how to deal with not only this regime in Iran, but with Islam? Will it be too late for this nation in its 250th year of birth? We'll also be discussing the latest from Iran. Apparently, there's another naval blockade happening. The IRGC Al-Quds kill force, and also the ongoing Islamic takeover of America. As I mentioned, something that we've been warning about for decades is now materializing rapidly. I'm going to be discussing all of that and more with my good friend and guest, Anni Cyrus, right now on Truth Today. Please share this. Stay tuned. Well, good morning, good afternoon, folks. Pastor Shahram Hadian here with you. As always, so grateful that you're taking time out of your schedule to join us live in studio. I know some of you watch us later when it's archived on our page, which is great, but it's always a blessing to have all of you live with us in studio and on our live chat commenting. It's just awesome to be able to come together as believers, the body of Christ, to discern the times that we are in and to navigate faith, navigate daily life. At the end of the day, folks, all of this is about us being obedient to the Lord. All of this is about us, how we live our lives for Christ, how we live out our faith, day in and day out until he comes for his bride, until he comes for this to set up his kingdom on this world. We are contending for the faith. We contend for Christ. And as such, we are committed to speaking the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. We are not going to compromise on truth ever, ever, ever. We want to love as Christ loved, but we want to make sure that we do it in a manner that is truthful, honest, earnest, and accordance with the Word of God. I want to also encourage you guys that a couple of housekeeping items, and then I got one quick item to share with you. If you want to know more about our ministry and our travel schedule, tilministry.com, tilministry.com. Folks, remember that those of you here in Houston area, I'll be down in Sugar Land in a couple of weekends, Sunday, July 26th, speaking for Pastor Andy Woods. We'll be there 2 morning and the evening So they're doing their first ever, apparently they broke the mold for me. They're doing their first ever evening presentation they allowed me to do. So we're excited. It'll be a packed day down there. And then we have a busy fall that we have, including Worldview Weekend Conference in Waukesha, Wisconsin, the last weekend in October. We'll have more information about that. If you want us to come speak in your area, contact us through the website. Remember, again, we're live streaming to Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook right now. X soon to be coming. And please, if you're on Rumble, do a couple things. Would you click the join button if you've not clicked our button to subscribe to our channel, and then like and share. Thank you for your live chat. I love to see where everybody's from. It's so encouraging when you guys post your comments and also where you're from. We have people from all over the country. We have Newfoundland, Canada. Welcome. We have, all over the country, including here in East Tennessee, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Mexico, California, Missouri, Texas. I mean, it's all over the place. So again, thank you guys for joining us today. One little pet peeve. It's not really a pet peeve, but we have some people that would like to come on our channel and like to comment, and they disagree with us. And that's fine. But I delete their comments after it's up there for a couple days, because you can see it. You can see their arguments, and then I delete it. But they don't like it when I delete their comments, because they want to take over our page. They want to take over the comments. Listen, if you disagree with me, if you disagree with our ministry, if you disagree with dispensationalism, if you disagree with the fact that we're not in the kingdom now, which is ludicrous that we're in the kingdom now, I've said it before, it's a heretical view of scripture that we are in the kingdom now. That's fine. You can disagree, but go start your own Rumble channel. Get a life. Stop taking up all of our comments and go start your own channel. Go start your own ministry. And you convince people, but stop wasting your time and coming on this channel and taking up our comments with your warped interpretation of scripture. We disagree. That's the bottom line. We disagree. And, people can call me names and they call me whatever, but go and start your own thing and stop wasting your time, because you will not convince us. And probably I'm not going to convince you. And we can have discussion, and I'm open to having discussion. By the way, we're still working on setting up that debate that we want to set up here on our platform with people that ascribe to what's called covenantal theology or replacement theology. We're going to have that at some point in the future so that there can be an open discussion among believers who disagree. But don't get upset. Don't lose it and start calling me names on our comment page when I delete your comments because you're trying to sabotage our channel. All right, that's it. Want to get that off my chest. That was, just a little rant there, mini Sharam rant today. But we got a lot to cover, and I want to bring on my guest. And we're going to be talking about today Iran. We're talking about what is going on there. Okay. The war, back on, back off, back on, back off, back on, back off. I mean, this is like a really, really bad roller coaster. And when are we going to learn? And we're going to talk about who's advising the president. And then with my guest, Annie, we're going to talk about her latest article, because obviously we saw the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham. Brandon House covered this yesterday with Annie on his show about the possibility that this was not a natural death. The FBI is still supposedly involved if it was just a natural death. There's a lot of questions I think to be answered, but more importantly, you have to understand that there is a kill list, and that this regime in Iran is so demonic and so evil that they will stop at no ends to accomplish their goal, including assassinations. And we're going to be discussing that with Annie and a lot more about that. And then if we have time, we'll take your questions. So if you have a question, try to pose it. And if I can get to it or we can get it with Annie, we'll do that. So let me go ahead and welcome Annie to our stage. Miss Annie, how are you? Good to see you. How's everything going?
It is great to see you. I always love coming on with you. I love your audience and our shared audience. How am I deal? I don't know. You said roller coaster. I actually have genuinely, I have vertigo, and I feel like it's kicking in pretty bad lately, where I don't even get
Mm.
much sleep. I think I'm running on about 2 hours of sleep a day now.
Oh gosh.
Not because I'm actually reporting on what's happening, because I stopped that about 2 months ago. I stopped. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep because one, I'm trying to finish my second book.
Mm.
Two, I'm trying to put the information I'm putting out on my Substack because everybody else is busy covering what at this point to me makes no difference anymore. We need to, a lot of reporters, a lot of journalists, a lot of hosts, they're just digging, like they're staying on the surface, right? As you said, war's on, war's off, war's on, war's off. We have a deal. And me, as you know, I'm like, this is not it. I literally just pushed it all aside. I started digging underneath. That's how I ended up putting out the Substack from yesterday and 1 week before, one coming out this week again. It's so much is going unnoticed. I
Mm.
do this because it's by design, through our own government, that I feel like people are so blind to what's coming.
Mm.
A much bigger wave is about to hit us in so many different directions, and people are just so busy, as you said, on, off, roller coaster, vertigo. All of that is by design, and I'm trying to push it aside, at least on my platforms, and show people that there's a bigger wave of danger than what we think it's happening.
Yeah, that's so good. And there's the link, folks, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. And of course, or just liveuptofreedom.com, both of her links. And then Annie, your new book, The Architecture of Jihad, is now on hardback, correct? This is the paperback that I
Yes.
have, and you got the hardback there. And
Also, the audiobook is available
oh
now.
wow, is that on Amazon, or where do you get that, on the website?
Amazon actually rejected my audiobook, but you
Oh,
can
okay.
find it anywhere, including Apple audiobook. Anywhere except Amazon, you can find it. It is on 17 different platforms. Most people tend to like the Apple platform, so just go to your Apple store and look up the book. The audiobook will pop right up.
Yeah, tremendous book, tremendous resource. As I've been traveling, I have a copy with me so that people can go and get it, so that they can share it, obviously, especially with decision makers in their communities, sharing it with pastors, sharing it with their elected officials, sharing it with law enforcement, but just themselves, being able to be in a place where they can better understand the ultimate goal, the ultimate mechanism of takeover, which is through jihad. And I always tell people this too. I know you do too, but it's just people have this warped view of the word itself. When you break it down and you try to help them to understand that this is warfare, and it carries multiple facets, and you go through in this book the multiple aspects of jihad, where it's not just where we get tunnel vision, where it's just going to kill people and blow people up and behead people, but there's actually so many more sinister and covert elements of jihad that is happening every day that we don't pay attention to, because all we pay attention to is when the bomb blows up, or the beheading happens, or the Allah Akbar and we're going to kill you happens. And so that's why it's so important. And so I highly recommend people get a copy, and get that. People online who have already gotten it. So we already got some questions coming in, but hang on to your questions. So we want to get to this conversation. Okay, so just for the sake of argument, since we're on the ride, since we're on the roller coaster, and I'm about to throw up because it's like, I'm not a fan of roller coasters anyway. I'm not a thrill seeker in the sense of like, I have to, whatever. But we're on this ride, and the latest is the president issues to Congress a notice that they're beginning, I don't know what the technical term was, they're beginning the operations. I think that was the word, right? They talked about operations. They're beginning operations Just a couple of images for people that don't know kind of what's going on. This was kind of the area, it seems like, according to Iran Alive, they're saying that they're focusing on this southern part of Iran, which right in the middle of that picture, folks, is the Strait of Hormuz, which everybody is talking about. This is, and also the port there, Bandar Abbas, which, by the way, years ago, funny story, when we were living in Iran, we had gone down to visit Bandar Abbas, and there was an earthquake. And I remember as a kid, we were staying in this hotel, and in the middle of the night, we got woken up, and we're like this because there was an earthquake. And as we're driving back home, that mountain range there, it was like you could see cracks in the mountain from this earthquake. So that's one of my memories. Sorry, folks, I just had to share that with you. A little memory of growing up in Iran. But look, part of it is from a strategic standpoint, from a military standpoint. If we know parts of Iran, we knew that the strait was, the choke point. Why didn't they do this sooner? Why didn't they hit these areas? Because the majority of their ballistic missiles and their underground bunkers are in this area in the south. And I go back to that when Israel started last year in June of 2025, Operation Rising Lion, that's where they started. They started right down there in Bandar Abbas, in that area, hitting the port, trying to disrupt. But the U.S., are we just clueless? Just what's your take on now that they're hitting this area? What's the objective, you think?
I'm so glad you closed it with that word. As I said on Brandon's show yesterday, I'll say it again. I've been saying it for 13 months now. The issue is United States of America does not have an objective. That's a problem. From day one of the B-2 drops, the objective was supposedly to destroy the facilities, and supposedly we did it. But then supposedly it's still there.
Right.
But then February 28th, supposedly we were going to end their nuclear facility, which is not located in Bandar Abbas. It's not located in Kish Island. It is definitely not located in Hark Island. We don't have an objective. We don't. And that's one of the main reasons that the Americans feel like they're in a roller coaster. Either do we have the strongest military in the world? Not the strongest, but we're definitely top 3. Yes. But even the strongest military, without an objective, solid objective put on the table by the commander-in-chief, will fail to deliver. That's just the way it is. We don't have an objective. Right now, what we're doing is not an attack. I know Congress was informed. I know supposedly the second war started. Well, some are calling it the third from Iran's side, which makes sense. We have the 12 days war. At the end, America got involved, and then we had the 28th until about early April. Now they're calling it the third wave of the war. However, this is not a war. It's not Shamjan. What we're doing under orders of President Trump, we're trying to find that leverage that was missing from the last meeting. That's what we're doing. Because the truth of the matter is, if you would unleash Israel right now, they wouldn't actually be attacking the south border of Iran at all. They wouldn't. They would go right back into Shiraz, Isfahan, and Tehran, possibly portion of Mashhad or Khorasan. Why? Because the leaders are there. Because the IRGC is there. You don't need, they took out, supposedly, U.S. took out what? The Iran Navy was at the bottom of the ocean, right? Isn't that what we said?
That's what they said, yeah.
If that's the case, there shouldn't be a need to reattack that area. So, which version was incorrect?
Right.
We took out Natanz and demolished their facility, or there's a possibility we might have to attack. Let me brag here for a minute, which Brian always tells me it's not a brag if it's true. 5 days after the report of the B-2s and the claim of us saying we demolished their nuke facility and ability, I released the Substack. Literally, the title of the Substack is Kolang Mountain, the backup plan of Iran's nuclear.
I remember that.
And yesterday, President Trump said, we probably are going to hit Kolang Mountain. Are you telling me it took President Trump and our administration 12 months after I had the information to have the information? I highly doubt it. I mean, I'm good. I'm not that good.
Sure.
Or if I'm that good, maybe someone from administration should be on the phone with me right now.
Right.
Legit
Right.
question.
Right.
If I'm that good that I got ahead of all American reporters, all Farsi reporters, all administration members to report this 12 months ago, I should be part of whomever is advising President
Right.
Trump and Pete Hegseth. Because apparently I have a way of understanding the mountains of Iran, though I have not been inside Iran for, well, 27 years.
Yeah.
Point is, we have the intel, we have the information, we don't have an objective because we don't want to get our hands involved with the regime change. That was the only, we have had the what we don't want to do from day one, and we're sticking to it.
Exactly.
And no regime change has been the top of the list. The number one disagreement between Israel and America has been they want a regime change. America doesn't. America seems to have the power to keep those mullahs in power. And I don't care how many times President Trump says the first regime is done. We killed the second regime. We killed 25% of the third regime. Like, I'm sorry, President Trump, do you understand how the regime works?
Yeah.
Because you didn't do any of that. Israel took out Khamenei, yes. But then when you put them in handcuffs, they couldn't complete the job. They understand the setup. They understand the system. They knew where they needed to go for this regime to be done. And we specifically, and by design, stopped them. So I'm sorry, this was a very long answer.
No,
but
that's okay.
The more complicated, the more roller coaster, the more expansion I need on answering, because there is no, we won, we lost answer to it anymore.
Yeah.
We're in a limbo. Specifically because we don't have an objective. We know what we don't want to do, but it's kind of like a dating poll, right? You ask people like, what are you looking for? They can't tell you what they're looking for, but they can tell you what they're not looking for. I don't want somebody who's decent at it. It's like, no, I don't ask you what you don't want. I said, what do you want? That's our government today. They don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want. Well, and that creates where we are.
And there may be an element, because as you said, they don't want the objective, and that's been my view as well. Is that's why even though as we speak, Iran just yesterday hit Oman, so there seems to be this supposed rift between Iran and these Arab nations. I still hold the view that, and I want to get your take on it as well, that there's no way these Arab nations still support and will not support a free Iran. We've talked about that because that's not the objective. Again, that's not the objective. I agree with you 100% that the biggest rift between Israel and the United States is the fact that they know the objective has to be the removal of this regime. Because otherwise it will never end. I use this analogy of if you have a neighbor that wants to kill you and you try to negotiate and you try to broker a peace and you try to, just let bygones be bygones, and yet they still try to kill you. At some point, either you got to move, or you got to move them out. There's no. Common sense would say that. So this is why I think it drives some people crazy to go, and you hit it. You hit it on the head. They don't have the objective. They don't want the objective, and then on the worst part of it, and I know from speaking to people who have relatives in Iran who have. Or Iranians who are in the diaspora, they will say the same thing. They will say what you and I said. Get your foot off of the neck of Israel. Let them finish what they need to do. And that's in my opinion, that's maybe the worst part of this, besides the betrayal of the Iranian people by Trump and by what he had said, help is on the way. By the way, did you see him in an interview today? No, yesterday. They upped the number. He came out and said in a press conference, 52,000.
Well, I already said in the number about 4 months ago, I said that on 84,000 plus.
Right.
And when everybody said, you're doubling the number, I said, no, I'm not. You will gradually hear this number because that's politics.
Exactly.
I'm not going to come out and tell you the 84 plus, for 84,000 plus. But right, he went from, if you remember, originally, we started with 20,000.
Right.
And then the next time he got mad at him, it went to 32,000. Then he got really mad at him, it went to 42,000. Now he's mad at him, it's 52,000. We're only 32,000 away from the actual number that has been reported, not just by me, but by actual reliable sources have numbered it on 84,000. But yes, I did notice that he finally got about halfway there by saying 52,000.
So
yes.
These are the interesting things, like you said, that people aren't paying attention to, that they want to whitewash. And now, so here's my question. If we could just for a moment pretend like they haven't royally screwed this up or on purpose. Now, I had Patrick Wood was the other day, was on Thursday show, and we talked about the fact that he believes that part of this is also intentional because the technocratic part of what's happening, like in Gaza, they think this is all part of a tactic to take over the Strait of Hormuz. He was saying that he thinks that ultimately this is going to be the play here, because also in that same interview yesterday, Trump again said, the naval blockade's back on, and we're just going to take over the strait. So that could be something as well, that in the scheme of that global system, that they're, again, sometimes when I try to play 4D chess, it makes my brain hurt. But there's all these things on the table. But for this moment, what would you say if they called you tomorrow? If they called you tomorrow and said, advise us, not this guy Trita Parsi and other people like him that are, we're throwing a name out there, people don't know who it is, but it's someone you've exposed. It's someone that's connected to a group called NIAC, which is a political movement that is connected to the regime. In fact, I was telling Annie before we went on air that in 2010, when I was running for state legislature in Washington State, before my run for governor, NIAC tried to recruit me and wanted to give me money. And this is a group that is connected to the Islamic Republic. It's how they have their influence operation. Yet everybody now is sitting here talking about AIPAC and that the Jews control American politics. But nobody talks about people like Trita Parsi or others, these people that are advising the White House, Annie, and who are deeply connected, who we can easily connect to this regime and to the IRGC. But for the sake of time, they call you up. What would you advise the White House? Let's take it two ways. Let's take it from the aspect of public relations. If they could change their dialogue about how they're going to talk about what's going on in Iran and how it affects us, and then operationally, like from a military standpoint, what would you advise the White House if they called you?
Step one of advice would be gather your sharpest minds inside America. Gather your sharpest mind and put together a plan to combat the backlash from my plan. To the public, let them know that the country is going to go through a rough 8 to 10 years patch of national security, division, absolute chaos in the White House, and absolutely economically. But this is for the best. Why am I saying this? Let me open it up as fast as I can. The reason we are fighting so hard to keep the mullahs in Iran is not because we love the mullahs. No. It's because as long as the mullahs are in place, our allies in Middle East are going to continue being our allies. The chaos created by the Islamic regime is exactly how Qatar became Qatar. The itsy bitsy tiny little dot on the map became the country it is. Saudi Arabia, during Shah Pahlavi, was always fighting to find somebody to make a big deal of oil trade or weapon trade with them, for that matter. Bahrain did not exist in anybody's vocabulary. Neither did Kuwait.
Right.
So the only way to fix this.
Real quick, you're just so our viewers understand what you're talking about. You're talking about. I didn't mean to interrupt, so I just want to. You're talking about. I 100% agree with you that before the 1979 so-called revolution in Iran, which I've also said it was a massive catalyst. It was a massive shift. These nations you just mentioned were desert. Were sand. Nothing.
They were. And again, nobody needs to take my word or your word for it. A very simple Google or Grok or GPT or whatever it is you use nowadays as your search engine, just look them up. You'll see that they didn't exist. Now, again, some of these nations are babies. They're babies in comparison to Iran. A lot of time I have corrected President Trump when he talks about Lebanon or Pakistan. Like, President Trump, you can't, don't say they've been decent that for centuries or they didn't exist back then, okay? Lebanon is barely 101 years old. Pakistan is 80 some years old.
Right.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, again, barely 100 years old. So yes, without the chaotic regime of Iran, all of these nations that we hear about all day, and there are the strongest allies, and they get bases in America, and they get trades, and they get weapons, they would disappear overnight again. So the reason for anybody who thinks this is somehow President Trump doesn't know Islam, President Trump doesn't know the mullahs, President Trump knows all of it. But this is not even President Trump didn't create this. This has been inherited by every administration since Carter.
Right.
It's one administration handled it better, the other one didn't do it too great, but every single one of them, including Reagan administration, had no choice but to keep legitimizing this mullah regime. Unless we have an administration that's willing to tell the public what I just said, in order to fix this issue, we have to cut ties with all of our allies and let Iran be free. With that, they're all going to be mad at us. So we're going to get attacked. We're going to lose some economy stability for a minute or two. We're going to have division in our country. We're going to have to revoke some visas and green cards and citizenships. I'm not saying this is easy, but until somebody's willing to go through that 8 to 10 years plan, we're going to have to face the same thing over and over. The Iran issue, it's one of those wounds. You know, I use this because I actually have a lot of physical wounds around all over my body. And some of my cuts, they healed within a week or two. And then there's a line of it left. And then I have one right here on my arm that most people see visibly. It has a, pretty big gash. It infected from inside for about a month and a half. They had to recut it, reopen it, drain it, put a filter. I'm sorry to be graphic, but I need to be graphic. Iran is this wound. Unless we recut it open, drain the infection, get to the root of it, leave the cut open for weeks with filter on it, there is no solution to it. And all of that infection is not just the mullahs, it's not IRGC, it's not Quds forces, it's not Hezbollah or Hamas. It's all of our allies. That's where the infection is.
Yeah, allies.
I was pointing to my allies. Yes. That's where I come from. This is what I see. This is what I've seen. This is what I've studied. And mullahs are aware of it. That is why they're not afraid of us. That is why they are showing off. They're mocking us. They're unleashing their assassins on us because they know the current administration isn't the one who's going to fix the wound.
Right. Here's some images, by the way, that we talked about on Thursday from Khamenei's funeral in Iran, killed Trump. Here's another one where they had, the
there will be blood.
There will be blood, and so I want to transition.
Can you put that picture back up for 1 second?
Yes,
Something I want to point out.
Yes.
So
The
I want your audience, well, not just the Palestinian, but I want you to look around that crowd. If you are as fast of a scanner as I am, the number of Iranian flag you see in that crowd compared to Palestinian and Hezbollah flags tells you, when I claim that majority of that crowd are not Iranians, they were coming from Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Afghanistan. That is my proof.
Exactly.
You see about, if I counted correctly, about 8 or 9 Iranian flag, and then you see a Palestinian flag giant, and then right next to it, you see the giant red Hezbollah banner flag. This is where I say, please continue separating the Iranian people, because this is where you're going to get confused. You're like, oh, so Iranians are going for the funeral. Nope.
Well, there was a guy that he's approached me, but he I think he writes for the Wall Street Journal, and that was their narrative. Was, oh, look at all this support inside Iran for this regime. We've miscalculated. And that's exactly the same thing that we've talked about. And people miss the fact that, I'm sorry, where are they burying Mr. Khamenei? In Iraq. So these are Arabs. Khomeini in 1979 was from India, just like Mamdani, right? I keep telling people Mamdani is a good-looking, younger version of Ruhollah Khomeini in 1979. Ruhollah Khomeini was ugly and an old man, and they claimed he was the Messiah. They claimed he was the Mahdi, which didn't, of course, didn't go well when he died in 1989. But so you're right. But again, I go to the fact that they don't want the inevitable, which is that you have to cut out this cancer. And if you're going to save not just the patient, but potentially the whole body, and part of that requires the fact. People ask me all the time, well, how come the Iranian people don't rise up? Why haven't we seen them rise up since January, when, as you said, at least 84,000 or more were massacred, not including those ones who have been executed since January that we don't know the exact number. And when you look at the fact, I mean, imagine if you were, Reza Pahlavi came out in January, and one of his messages was, we need the army, we need the military, we need the Air Force, we need the police. You need to stand with the people. And those who don't know their history, again, when my dad was in the army in Iran under the Shah, and he was seeing the shift, the defections that were happening the other way, the wrong way, away from the Shah, but it was still 50-50, right? At the time that Khomeini came in, it was still about 50-50 on February 1st, 79, when Khomeini stepped foot on Iranian soil, until 10 days later when that shifted. So you need those defections, right? That's how and I tell people, like, you want to arm the Iranian people, one of the best ways is get defections, right? Get the people that have the weapons. But can I ask you, or anybody out there, would you defect if you were being subjected to this yo-yo from the American foreign policy and President Trump? Would you defect? Would you stick your neck out there and actually leave and side with the people when we said help is on the way, and now we've left them hanging to dry, and we continue to give lifeline after lifeline after lifeline after lifeline to this, and then Trump comes out and calls them a scum and cuckoo? So it's the Bible calls us being double-minded, when we waffle back and forth, when we don't have clarity, when we don't have, as you said, objective. Like, as a Christian, we know we have an objective. Our objective is we want to share Christ to the ends of the earth. We want to fulfill the Great Commission until Christ comes. That's why, folks, I'm telling you, we're not in the kingdom. That's not our objective right now. America doesn't have the objective. But would you agree Israel has the objective? I want to go back to you. And then I want to talk about your article. Because I want to get to your article here that you wrote, Meet the Mukhtar Unit. We're going to get to that in a minute. But just, they could have, they could have recognized Reza Pahlavi. They could have brought him in to talk with him. They could have, there's a lot of things they could have done from a PR standpoint, just to be able to shift this narrative. And now you got, what is that moron that was in Iran? What is his name? Jackson, oh my gosh, I was just talking to Brandon about this. Jackson Hinckley or whatever it was.
Yes, Hinckley. Thank you.
Sitting there in Iran on July 4th. This dude claims to be from America, sitting there and chanting death to America, death to Israel, kill Trump in Iran.
Yeah.
Anyway, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with everything you said. I will, I will go even as far as saying, forget about the yo-yo. Would you abandon your position or post when you watched citizens arrested lined up for execution, and Trump came out and flat out repeated their lies of, they just said they stopped execution.
Right.
I saved people, and literally the same night they were killed. No, you wouldn't. You would be like, not only they're going to kill me, but on the other end, Trump is going to pretend like I wasn't killed for this fight. So yes, I agree with you. Our action has definitely impacted the hard work of Crown Prince Pahlavi on convincing these people to walk, to join the people, to arm the people, to help the people. We stepped in. And again, I want to be very clear. Anybody who's coming across this show for the first time, not knowing me, this is not a new thing. I have not changed my tone, my message, my idea, my suggestion, or my advice. From the 12 Days War until today, the broken record Cyrus has sang the same song. We should have stayed out of it. When United States of America, per policy, regardless of administration, when it gets involved with Middle East, we make a mess out of it, because that is the objective. Keep the mess going.
Yeah, exactly. And not actually looking at,
permanent solutions.
And permanent solutions.
Well, Shamja, let me ask you this, because sometimes I get mixed feedback on this, but the truth of the matter is, let's put aside our flag for a minute, whatever our flag is, France, Italy, Afghanistan, Iran, America, Canada, that doesn't matter. Let's talk about one logical formula. How will a list of first world countries exist if there are no third world countries? Just saying.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair question. They have to be able to keep certain things going.
You need the barbaric, illiterate, second-class citizen women and the jihad. You need them for you to be the superpower. You need them for you to be the good guys and the fancy suit-wearing, educated. You need them. If you don't have them, then you won't look as good as you do today.
And you have to keep people, like you said, you have to keep people controlled. You have to control flow of information. That's why a free Iran is such a threat.
It's a huge threat.
Because you have the dynamic that it should. Because look, at the end of the day, and I've said this too, at the end of the day, the average Muslim, the average human being that is living inside an Islamic controlled country, ultimately, as a human being, I believe they want freedom. I believe they would shoot, if they're not being brainwashed by this demonic cult ideology that is Islam, they want freedom. And the threat, because the world saw a prosperous, free Iran under Reza Pahlavi, and then it went the other way. And
no, I'm sorry to interrupt. Iran under Reza Pahlavi, the son, not the father. Under the father, I can give you history for 2 hours, but under the son, the last few months, Iran stood as the 10th in the world when it came to economy.
Right.
10th,
yeah.
Today, over 47% of Iranian citizens live under the line of poverty. How's that for control?
Exactly. So, this is something that, hey guys, and listen, we have some back and forth here going on the live chat. I'm going to ask all of you guys to kind of stop because it's taking away from the conversation. Just like focus on the conversation. Let's keep our topics on the conversation. I don't know, you guys are going back and forth about criticizing Israel, not criticizing Israel, but
you see, I'm glad you brought that up. I was glancing at your comments. That's the secondary problem. Every time you try to get anybody in America, I'm going to say this, I'm an American citizen. I've earned my spot to criticize my fellow Americans. So here goes. You had a mini rant. I'm going to have a longer one. Yeah. In America, with American audience, every time you try to pinpoint a crucial criticism about America, they dump Israel into the conversation too. Let's not look at our issue. It's the Palestinian, it's the Muslims, it's Israel, it's everybody except us. Wake up, people. We got issues too. We have played a role in it. We have blood our hands too. And doesn't matter how much you try to distract the conversation in a comment section, on a show, on an article, whatever it is. You can try to kind of distract, but you distracting from the root of the problem is not a solution. It's part of the problem. Sorry, go ahead.
Agreed. And just information. I don't know. Somebody is messaging me about Patrick Wood. Patrick Wood, I just had him on the show on Thursday. Patrick and I talked about Bible prophecy. Patrick completely understands and supports Israel's right of existence. He's not anti-Israel. What he's warning about is the technocratic system, the beast system that is being implemented. So if you guys went and watched the show on Thursday, it was all about the setup of the beast system that ultimately is also going to deceive Israel, because of course the Daniel 9 covenant that is going to happen. But I haven't followed all the things, but the Patrick Wood is not anti-Israel. Patrick Wood supports Israel 100%, their right of existence, believes in Bible prophecy, believes that they're there in fulfillment of Bible prophecy as a sign of these last days, even though they're in unbelief. And so let's cool it, please, on attacking each other, because most of these people here are, we're trying to support each other. And thank you, Annie, for those words. I agree with you 100%. Let's quickly move on, if I can, to your article, because this is so relevant to potentially what happened with Lindsey Graham, because you had exposed last week, this is your article on your liveuptofreedom.substack.com. It's there, and you brought forth information about the reactivation of the Quds Force. And I appreciate, by the way, in your article that you define this term, because people do get confused about this term, Quds, because in the Quran, I mentioned this last week, folks, there is no mention of the name Jerusalem. It's not in the Quran, 806 times in the Bible. They use other terms like, for example, Beitul Maqdis. That means the Holy Mount. They're talking about the Temple Mount. They're talking about the Al-Aqsa, where they claim that that's theirs. Or they use the word Al-Quds. So before we get into the nuance of this kill unit, you brought out in your article the bigger objective. You see, they have an objective. They're going to
always. They always have objective. Satan
loses, folks. Just, let's put that out there. God wins, Satan loses. Their objective will fail. But their objective is, because they believe that Jerusalem must be in their hands, and because Jerusalem plays a part in their eschatology. Islamic eschatology is based upon their control of Jerusalem, is based upon the Islamic Caliphate governing from Jerusalem. They believe that their fake Jesus is going to come back to Jerusalem and rule and reign for Islam. All of this, of course, will be defeated. Praise God. Hallelujah. Jesus will come back as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. However, Al-Quds was their term. So briefly, if you can, just explain that part of it. And then you published the kill list. And who was number one on the kill list, by the way?
Netanyahu is number one on
Bibi.
the list.
Okay.
Bibi's.
Bibi.
President Trump is number 2 on the list. Pete Hegseth is number 3 on the list.
Okay.
And
Was Lindsay on the list?
yes, number 6.
Number 6.
Number well, in a way, you can see the level of like the rating is almost the same. Like you have Bibi and then Trump, and then you have Hegseth, and then you have Katz, Yisrael Katz, which is the same position as
as Hegseth, right?
Yes, but Lindsay was number 6. I want to emphasize on this again. We have a name on the list. By the way, so I need to separate the list, that the hit list of IRGC through Quds, through Mukhtar unit. The list of government officials is separated from the list you are seeing on their Lego videos. The Lego videos repeat Bibi and Trump, but the rest of them are the influencers. The list that I have touched on, the list that it's not like I wasn't getting it on a underground tunnel. The government published it on Hamshahri newspaper, which has been a government newspaper for like ever. They put that list, the 10 list out. In that 10 list, 12 list, not 10, 12 names, number 9 is Ambassador Huckabee. When I mentioned that on Brandon's show yesterday, somebody actually messaged me saying, well, we pray for all of them, but why am I? Number 1, Ambassador Huckabee. You go from the president and the head of Department of War to an ambassador. The ambassador who very recently came out even countering President Trump in a diplomatic way of giving a speech saying America wouldn't exist without Israel.
Right.
This isn't about an American ambassador. This is about Ambassador Huckabee's Zionist belief. That's what it is. Yes. And that's where, yes, me and Brandon also talked about that. As this list continues taking names off, more names will be added from the journalist side of things, from influencer side to the other side of government officials. So I want to be very clear. This is not about a government. Neither of these lists are about, it's not President Trump is the president or Bibi is a prime minister. It is the ideology behind the list. Am I explaining this properly, Sharon John? Or am I confusing?
Yes. No, I get it. So just again, because the purpose, so number 1, this is an assassination unit. This is a highly, like, I want people to understand, this is not a bunch of hillbilly hicks, some, backward desert Muslim. This is a very sophisticated assassination unit, potentially working with other covert.
Actually, not potentially, specifically. So Mukhtar unit, which again, I love that you brought up Quds. Quds is also a holiday. I know you guys pronounce it Quds, I think, in America.
Yeah.
But the proper word is Quds.
Quds, yeah.
And it's literally, it's aside the Quran and the Hadith and the Muhammad words, within, after the Islamic Revolution of 79 in Iran, the word Quds became part of the movement.
Right.
It became the resistance against the Jews and against the Zionists and against the terminology of Jerusalem. That's what Quds stand for. And then immediately the original group of Quds, which still exists, and that's where I start with the Substack, because everybody talks about IRGC. Yes. But Quds has always been this shadow.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Quds is also a designated terrorist group inside America, right next to IRGC.
Right.
But we don't talk about them much. Most people don't know much about them. But here's what does happen. In Michigan, in California, in Georgia, in Texas, every year, the Muslims get on the streets and actually do celebrate the Quds holiday.
Right.
They come on the streets and they chant death to Jews and death to Jerusalem every day. Once I have reported those days on different shows every year when it happens. So it's not just a group. It's not just a shadow proxy. They also have their little, children.
Right.
The newest being Mukhtar units was specifically activated to finish the list of the assassinations, so starting with the 12, and then they added 18 influencers, and the list is growing. I'm tracking the list to the best of my ability, and I need to say this. Sometimes there's a delay on my end because, again, I need to verify my source that's verified by another source and another source, and all of that between the time zone difference and encryption takes a minute. But as of right now, I do know there are 37 names on the table. 1 out of 37 is dead. Can I necessarily prove today it was Mukhtar unit? No, especially because our government is not giving us any information. Right. But the Mukhtar unit this time activation, they got a specific allocated budget for the American side to hire Mexican cartels. In Europe, they hire their proxies from each country. So specifically, they were given a budget to work with their proxies and their allies in different countries. Because again, we have the Israeli names, we have the American names. We also have, how do we say her name? Melanie? No, Melanie, the prime minister.
Melania.
Georgia Meloni, the Italian prime minister.
Meloni, yeah.
Meloni. Her name is on the list.
Yeah,
just
from
so
Italy.
You know.
The prime
from
minister
Italy.
of Italy, yes.
So this isn't an America or Israel or Jew or Zionist issue. And the reason I emphasize is I need my fellow humans to understand why you're fighting each other over Zionists and Israel and Gaza. Guess what they're doing? They're killing us all.
Yeah.
How's that for a stop?
Yeah. And again, yeah, exactly. And again, if you guys want to read this article, go to liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Meet the Mukhtar unit, which is, again, we talk about Islam being a death cult. We talk about somebody asking, can you ask Annie about the Muslim holy days to be official California state holiday?
Which one? Are you talking about the Ramadan, the Ashura one, or the Quds one? Because they're trying.
That's a good question.
They're trying to get Ashura and Tasua as an official holiday in not just California, by the way, at Florida, especially because Florida already agreed to give the Muslim Arabs the month of July in Floridan calendar
as a recognition of Arab
heritage.
Yes, Arab heritage.
So in Florida and California, they're trying to push for Muharram and for Ashura and Tasua.
Ashura and during the month of Muharram, right?
Month of Muharram, when the Shia Imam Hussein was killed by the Sunni Imam. Everybody forgets to mention that, right? Why am I giving you a holiday when your own sect killed each other?
Right.
So Sunnis won the celebration, Shias won the mourning. I'm like, okay, that's going to be a very confusing day on the calendar. But anyways, they're also trying to push for Quds Day, actually.
Okay.
Especially with the recent win in Illinois. I don't know if you covered it, but the Little Palestine way.
Yes.
After that, they're now trying to push for a Palestinian holiday, which is the Quds Day. Quds Day is a Palestinian day.
Can I actually play a quick clip of that for people you're talking about? I think you were in New Jersey. This is, let me play this. By the way, real quick. People need to look up. We're not making this up. Annie mentioned this, and I know you covered on Brandon yesterday. The regime is using AI-generated Lego videos. So when she mentioned Lego, that was not a slip of the tongue or like...
That was not my accent.
That was not her accent or like thinking Annie is so bored that she's playing with Legos. Like, I have 6 kids, and so we have like so many Legos.
How many times a day do you step on them? And you're like, ouch!
Oh my gosh, vacuum. You know how many times I've sucked up Legos in the vacuum? And no, go look it up, folks. The Iranian regime has made AI-generated Lego videos from everything from mocking. They made one before the World Cup. And now they're making one in regards to the death of Lindsey Graham. And
the latest one is actually directly toward Loomer. It's literally
Loomer.
called,
Yeah, that was when somebody said exactly right.
Yes, it was the one that I want to say I saw it earlier today. So that one is specifically telling Loomer basically that you wanted war, so you have it.
Yeah, you're on. And she's and they had the picture of her with, like you said, some of those media with the target in front of her. So again, for the sake of time, go look it up. You know, it's there. But I wanted to just show, just briefly, we got 2-3 minutes left, shifting it back to America, because we keep telling people this is not an Iran problem, this is not a Middle East problem. This ultimately comes back to the homeland. You mentioned the regime working with the cartel, which they've been doing, of course, for decades. I remember 2010 or so, I had interviewed at that time Congresswoman Sue Myrick, who had been sounding the alarm in the sub-intel committee in the House of Representatives about the Iranian connection with the Mexican cartels, working to as a transport mechanism, you know, all the tunnels, all the things that we were seeing, car bombings that the cartel was doing that was symbolic of tactics from, you know, anyway, so we got all that. But when it comes to the takeover of America, let me just play this quick clip. I'm just going to play, this is a longer clip, but I'm just going to play, where is it? Right here. Just the first part of this clip. And let me go back. A guy named Nate Friedman, who is Jewish, by the way. And this is Paterson, New Jersey. So, folks, I just want you to watch. I think, is this what you're talking about, right? With Palestine Way? Is that what you're referring to?
Is this the one in Bridgeview, Illinois?
No, this is not Illinois. Did they also do it? I didn't miss this.
Yes, last Saturday.
Last Saturday.
Like 3 days ago. Yes,
right.
They changed two street. One of them became a Little Palestine Way. The other one became Wade Way, which was the 6-year-old Palestinian American who was killed basically in his home when the landlord, and I want to be very clear, when it happened, I was on the side of the law and the family. Yes, the landlord horribly walked in and killed this little 6-year-old and stabbed his mother, who the mom survived somehow. But I hope that he faces the maximum possible punishment. However, as always, that tragedy was used to further politics. So now that Harlem Street and 84th or 82nd, I might be wrong. I know Harlem turned into the Little Palestine. The 84th or the 82nd turned into Wade's name, Way. And that was the Saturday. I actually have a Substack on it. It's going to come out next Monday or so. But yes, this one is Bridgeview, Illinois. And it happened last Saturday.
Here's Paterson, New Jersey. Same thing. Just watch the first maybe minute or so of this clip. Watch this.
Step, and we renamed Main Street Palestine Way.
This is
see,
Paterson,
it's official.
New Jersey.
Welcome to Little Palestine.
You're not allowed on the property. You're done.
Can you say why?
Yeah, because it's private property. Here. We don't have that reason.
But what?
It's private property. Go outside.
So for those who lead America, we want them to read the Quran.
My background, I'm an independent journalist. This is my...
You a Jew or you Zionist? What are you?
Paterson is proud to have the largest Muslim population in the state of New Jersey.
If you go to Men Avenue and Men Street, if you go over there, you'll see this like Ramallah.
So I'm going to pause it there just for time. I just wanted to share that, Annie John, because some people who are not, again, Americans not paying attention to what's going on and the impact of us, you know, this is decades of failure. But just from a standpoint, as we wrap up the show, just from the standpoint, you and I, you know, you had to flee Iran. We had to flee Iran. So we see our home country, or I should say our birth country, in the state that it's in. Now we come to America, you know, the concept of freedom, the concept of what we're fighting for, your website, liveuptofreedom.com. human perspective, just from a heart perspective, when you see that, when you see American streets and American cities being turned in, first of all, it's a non-existent place, right? There is no, again, just to be clear for us, our ministry, there is no Palestine, never been a Palestine. There's no Palestinian people. These are, Arabs from Jordan, Arabs from Egypt, they're gypsies, and apparently none of the other Muslim countries want them. But now you have American cities. Just share with me your emotions on that.
Well, let me give a spoiler on the Substack that's coming out next Monday. I normally, even in your case, Sharon John, because you were very young when you came to America and then Canada and back America. Normally, then the script that's pulled on people who say things like what you just said is that you don't get it. You don't understand immigration. You don't understand what we feel as immigrants. So let me come to you as an immigrant. I was 18 when I made it to America. So I was fully developed in my homeland. And 24 years, here comes August 8th, will be my 24th year of arriving in America. 24 years I have lived in America. Never did I lobby or request or get on camera or microphones asking for anything of Persian holidays, which, by the way, they're very connected to American holidays. I never asked for Persian street names. I never asked for anything Iranian related. Though I'm very rooted in my heritage, my audience can tell you, you'll see me do dance videos to Persian music, sing Persian music. I have Persian rugs and my Persian tea is up first thing every morning. But when I step out of that door, my front door, I'm American, period. End of the story, nothing more. If you need signs in America, because when there was the controversial with the little Palestine wedding in Illinois, the argument was, this is our way of showing the minority that they are safe and they are accepted. So in my Substack, I said it, you'll read it next Monday, but I'll say it now. As an Iranian American who have come to this country 24 years ago, I'll tell you what, if in America you need the street signs to have your city, your state, your faith, your gender, your race, to give you a sense of security and validation, honey, pack up and go back where you come from, because you have not assimilated. You have not understood what makes America safe is when we're all treated as Americans, not little Palestinians, not the Syrians, not the Iranians, not even the Italians. No, when we're equally treated by law as Americans, that's where you should have a sense of safety. Right. But if you need that sign to tell you you're safe in your neighborhood, then you did not assimilate. You're here to show your neighbors you're superior to them. If there is a neighbor that's not from Palestine, you're just telling them how much power you have over them by renaming their neighborhood, their heritage. We step on their heritage because yours, which is a myth, is superior to theirs. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well said. Well said. This is how many times can we say, what will it take to wake up people in this country? And
A complete loss of liberties and freedoms. I'm sorry, that's where I'm at. Americans are not they are awake. They know what's happening. But between the cultural ego, I'm just going to say it, and the lack of tangible understanding of hardship, between those two, they're not going to act on it until it is absolutely gone.
Yeah. And there are people on the post that are making some good posts, because one of our biggest problems in America, and I'm dealing with this as a pastor, is the church, because the churches, the Christians, people are commenting about how many pastors, Christians, friends they've seen that have now not only turned on Israel in the sense of that element of it and their support, which is stemming from their wrong theology, their wrong belief systems, their wrong view of the world, but they then become defenders of Islam. And that is still, in my opinion, at least for our ministry, is the bane of our existence. It's the thorn in our flesh, in the sense of we're not getting the open doors. You're not getting the open doors. We're not getting the open doors that we should be getting to the churches and to the Christians in this country that should understand that freedom, liberty that comes from God is only as good as you're willing to stand up for it and defend it. And I am grieved beyond measure that the nation that welcomed us in, that the nation that gave us freedom, the nation where we were able to freely come to Christ without having a fatwa on our head, at least by our own government, not by the Muslims, obviously, but by our own government, because we have plenty of those on our head. I'm just grieved, and I'm just, I want to throw up, but yet here we are, as you said, and we need to go, I guess, through more hardship. We have to go through being subjugated more, and it's crazy. It's crazy to watch and see that we have this level of, as you said, and you said it, it's takeover, it's supremacy. Whether they do this or they broadcast their demonic call of prayer, it's supremacy. And folks, you're being subjugated, whether you're going to admit it or not, whether you're going to wake up to it or not. Because a lot of people, Annie, you know this. I talk to them. I don't want to know. They don't want to know.
Yeah, they don't want to know. They don't get involved with politics. They have a nice Muslim neighbor who watch the football and have beer with them. My grandma always used to say that the power of decline will find all the reasons to black out the truth.
Yeah.
That's what we're facing in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
The truth is, me and you, we know how hard it is to see this truth. I have said it many times. Maybe if I was born and raised in America and I heard someone like me out there talking about it, I would have accept what she's saying about the religion, but I wouldn't probably necessarily think I'm in any danger. I don't know. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But the bottom line is, again, another saying by a great teacher of mine back in Iran. She always said, we go to the market and bargain for the cheapest price, except when it comes to experience. We pay the highest price because we have to experience it ourselves.
That's good.
That's the thing. Sadly, me and you, we do what we need to do. We do our part. Yeah. We obey God's command, and we expose the darkness of this evil. But we can't make people understand it. We can't make people believe it, nor can we protect them from the darkness they're going to have to walk through. That part is not up to me and you. So if in risk of, preaching to a preacher, I would take that grief, because I feel it too, Sharon John, I would turn that grief and use it to be louder to my congregation.
Yeah.
Be louder, be more specific, be emphasize, repeat. A broken record, Cyrus, right? I've been a broken record for over 11 years now. And that's what I do when I feel that sadness, when I feel the pain for my fellow Americans. When I watch them so cluelessly not knowing what's about to hit them comes November of this year, that I just turn around and get louder. I write more. As I said, I'm working on the next book. I try to be more proactive on their behalf, because I know I can't make them accept it. Exactly. I can't even protect them from having to face it. So I try to equip them with more tools, so when they do face it, they can fight it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Exactly. And that's a good segue into the fact that, when people ask you, can we stop these things? At some point, again, as Christians, as Bible-believing Christians, believing in God's word, God's sovereignty, but also the fact that there is still things that must happen according to his word, we know that some things we're not going to be able to stop because they must happen in order to fulfill the word. But as I was saying Thursday when Patrick was on, let's not be a part of facilitating it. Let's not be a part of helping it. And let's not let our naivety or our apathy play a role. Because I don't want to at night put my head on the pillow, as you said, Annie John, and say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. I want to say, today I did everything that I can to do my part to warn. And there's a lot of people, by the way, who follow our ministry, follow your ministry, follow Brandon, who are in their own rights, in their own influences, doing great things to warn. We have some people on this live chat right now. One of my friends from Minnesota is here and doing great things to continue to put information, documents, booklets, anything we can to get information out there as you're doing. And we keep up the fight. And the good news, again, folks, the good news, number one, Christ is coming for his church. Number two, Christ is coming back to rule and reign. Number three, Jerusalem will not belong to the Muslims. It will not fall to the Muslims. It will belong to the Jewish king, the Messiah. And number four, the gospel will go forth to the ends of the earth. Our part is obedience. So thank you for your obedience. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for your fight. Thank you that you continue to sound the alarm. And hopefully each day, if just a few more wake up and a few more join the fight, then at least we're making an impact in that sense. But folks, please pray for Iran, obviously. Pray for the people there. Pray for the believers that are in Iran. But also pray for Americans here and the church here. They would wake up and rise up and pray that maybe we can get off this roller coaster. But I don't know.
That would be great.
I want the ride to stop. I want to get off. Please let me off the ride. So Annie John, thank you so much. Again, folks, make sure that you follow Annie a couple of ways. So liveuptofreedom.com is her website where you can order the book, right?
Yes.
Order the book. Again,
Yes.
Architecture of Jihad, right there on her website. And then follow her Substack, subscribe to it, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. As always, so grateful, Annie John. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Absolutely. I appreciate you and your audience. And be safe, Sharon John, out there.
You too. Thank you. See you soon. All right, folks, thank you for joining us today. For all of you who were there commenting, again, so much happening. We'll do our best to keep track of it, but let's pray for each other. Let's pray that we would all have wisdom and discernment. We are in a very small camp, and let's stand together because we have enough people from outside attacking us. So let's stand together. We all have a voice. We all have a responsibility. But let's speak the truth in love so that we can honor the Lord in what we do. And passion is there. The fight is there. All that's there. But let's do it in love there. So again, I'll be back with you, Lord willing, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here in studio. We'll keep track of what's going on with the latest, with those things, but also more information about things that are happening in in America with this red-green axis Islamic takeover of America. And this beast system that is, if you all follow our show on Thursday night, that is going to be implemented. It's part of God's word. But let us not be a part of supporting it, joining it, encouraging it. And Bible prophecy is at work. God is setting the stage. The world is going to go through a 7-year tribulation, despite what misled Christians will tell you. Of course, I'm of the opinion that God's going to remove his church before his wrath is poured out, because wrath is not a portion to us as believers. Judgment is, discipline is, but not wrath. And once again, we're not in the kingdom. We represent Christ. We represent the gospel. We carry forth a spiritual message. We can't change the world. Only he can change the world, and he will change the world when he comes. He will usher in his kingdom when he comes for the second time. But we are not there yet. We're fighting that battle. So we occupy till he comes. We choose to be salt and light. We choose to be ambassadors in chains. We choose to prepare ourselves for hardship and persecution, because that's something the American church is not doing, is preparing you and I for persecution and hardship. How do we stand? By the way, we saw this during COVID, where we miserably failed on any, the slightest amount of persecution that came against the church. We just folded like a cheap tent. We got to stand our ground, be strong in the faith, not compromise the truth and God's word. And at the end of the day, we do stand as a ministry. We stand with the nation of Israel in the sense of their right of existence, of defense, their right to defend their borders. We don't 100% agree with everything the Israeli government does, but we agree 100% with God's word on Israel, and that it is rebirth in the last days, as it has, but not yet in belief, but it will come. That day is coming when all of Israel shall be saved upon the same name that you and I were saved, the name of Jesus Christ, the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. God bless you guys. And so love you guys all. Thank you all for your comments, and let's keep it, let's pray for each other, honor one another, and love you all. We'll see you Thursday night. Of course, as I mentioned, make sure you check out our website for any information, upcoming events, and if you want to get any of our materials. And then, of course, as always, if you want to support our ministry, you can mail in a check or make online donation to keep this ministry going, keep our travels going, keep these shows going, keep all of it going as we continue to warn. There are very few voices that are there. I'm so grateful that God allows us to be one of those voices in this fight. So if you want to support us, thank you ahead of time. Thank you all of those who do support us, who have prayed for us, who do join our Gideon army. We love you all. We're so grateful for each of you. And until next time, we'll see you. Pastor Shahram Hadian saying, have a blessed rest of your day. And I'll see you, Lord willing, Thursday